The discovery. Space stretched endlessly before the UES Defiance, a canvas of stars punctuated by the invisible line that separated human territory from the vast Zephyrian Empire. Captain Amara Verity stood on the bridge, her weathered hands gripping the command console as she studied the sector map. 3 years of patrolling this frontier had taught her that peace often came at a price too steep to pay. The Submission Accord of 2195 had ended the 7-year war between humanity and the Zephyrians, but everyone knew the truth behind the diplomatic language. Earth had been forced to its knees, accepting terms that restricted human expansion and required regular tribute payments to maintain their protected status within the Empire. The alternative had been extinction. Lieutenant Marcus Chen broke the silence. "Captain, I'm detecting unusual energy readings from Sector 7G. It's beyond the treaty line, but the signatures are interesting." Verity turned to her science officer. "Define interesting, Lieutenant." Chen's fingers danced across his console. "The patterns match human fusion reactors, but they're masked by some kind of interference field. If I didn't know better, I'd say someone was trying to hide a settlement out there." The bridge fell silent. Commander Sarah Rodriguez, Verity's executive officer, spoke first. "That's impossible. The Accord specifically forbids human presence beyond the boundary. Any violation would give the Zephyrians cause to do what they've always wanted." Verity finished. "Finish what they started." She studied the readings, her mind racing. "How certain are you about these signatures?" 90% confidence, Captain. "The masking is sophisticated, but our new sensors can pierce most interference." Verity made her decision. "Helm, adjust course for a closer look. We'll stay just inside the boundary." As the Defiance changed heading, Communications Officer David Park tensed at his station. "Captain, encrypted message from Fleet Command. Admiral Torres wants to speak with you." In her ready room, Verity faced the stern visage of Admiral Elena Torres on the secure channel. The older woman's expression was unreadable. "Captain Verity, our monitoring stations detected your course change. Explain." "Unusual energy readings, Admiral. Possible human signatures beyond the boundary." Torres leaned forward. "Impossible. And irrelevant. Your orders are to maintain patrol patterns, not chase sensor ghosts. With respect, Admiral, if there are humans out there." "There aren't." Torres's voice carried finality. "And even if there were, the Accord is clear. We cannot cross that line without inviting retaliation. Return to your patrol route. That's an order." The connection terminated, leaving Verity alone with her thoughts. She returned to the bridge, where her crew waited expectantly. "Continue our approach," she ordered. "But prepare a stealth probe. We'll launch it at maximum range." Rodriguez raised an eyebrow. "Captain, we're not crossing the boundary, Commander. Just improving our sensor coverage." An hour later, the probe's data painted a shocking picture. A small planet, designated Epsilon 7 in the star charts, showed clear signs of human habitation. Structures, atmospheric modifications, and life signs suggested a population of several thousand. Dr. James Wright, the ship's chief medical officer, studied the readings. "Those biosignatures, they're definitely human, but some show signs of prolonged exposure to alien pathogens. These people have been there for years." "Refugees," Verity murmured. "From the war." Chen nodded. "Colony ships went missing during the final battles. We assumed they were destroyed. Or they ran," Park added. "Found somewhere to hide." The implications hit them all. These humans had survived beyond Zephyrian space, building a life in secret. But their discovery could doom not just them, but potentially all of humanity if the Zephyrians claimed treaty violation. Warning klaxons shattered their contemplation. 3 Zephyrian patrol craft dropped out of hyperspace, their weapons systems active. "They must have detected our probe," Chen reported. "They're hailing us." The main screen filled with the imposing figure of Commander Zerakan, his crystalline features reflecting the bridge lights. "Human vessel, you have violated the Accord. Prepare to be boarded." Verity stood tall. "We've remained within our designated space, Commander. Our probe was a defensive measure only." "Your probe crossed the boundary, and its data reveals irregularities. Stand down your weapons and prepare for inspection." Verity muted the channel and turned to her crew. Options. Rodriguez was already at the tactical station. 3 patrol craft. We outgunned them individually, but together. And reinforcements are certainly coming. "Captain," Wright spoke quietly, "those people on Epsilon 7, if the Zephyrians find them." Verity knew. The Zephyrians had no tolerance for treaty violations. Those refugees would face either immediate execution or deportation to labor camps. She thought of Earth's leaders who had traded freedom for survival, abandoning their own people to maintain a facade of peace. "Battle stations," she ordered, "and open a secure channel to those patrol craft." Her crew moved with practiced efficiency. When Zarekin reappeared on screen, Verity's voice carried steel. "Commander, we've discovered human refugees on Epsilon 7. By interstellar law, we have an obligation to render aid to our own species." Zarekin's features shifted, a Zephyrian expression of contempt. "The Accord supersedes your laws. Those humans are in violation. They will be dealt with accordingly." "No," Verity said simply. "They won't." The first shot came from the lead Zephyrian vessel, a warning blast across the Defiance's bow. Verity didn't flinch. "Return fire. Disable their weapon systems only, and launch shuttles to Epsilon 7. We're evacuating those people." The battle was brief but intense. The Defiance's superior firepower proved decisive, leaving the patrol craft crippled but intact. As shuttles raced toward the planet's surface, more Zephyrian ships appeared on long-range sensors. "Captain," Park called out. "Incoming transmission from a Zephyrian diplomatic vessel." Ambassador Krikstar appeared on screen, his ancient features more controlled than Zarekin's. "Captain Verity, your actions today will have consequences beyond your comprehension." "I comprehend perfectly, Ambassador. We won't abandon our people." Krikstar's mandibles clicked, a sign of amusement. "Your people? How little you understand. Those refugees were placed there deliberately, as a test. We've known of their location for years." The bridge crew exchanged shocked glances. Verity kept her voice steady. "A test of what?" "Of human compliance. Your leaders agreed to report any unauthorized settlements in exchange for considerations. They failed. But you, Captain, have failed more spectacularly." The first shuttle reported successful landing. Refugees were being loaded, families who had hidden for over a decade finally seeing rescue. "Your submission accord is built on lies," Verity accused. "How many other tests? How many other humans left to suffer? Enough to ensure your species remembers its place. But you've changed the parameters today. The accord is nullified. Your protection ends." More Zephyrian ships dropped from hyperspace, a small fleet forming. But Verity smiled grimly. "Good. At least now we'll face the truth honestly." As the last shuttle lifted off with refugees aboard, the Defiance turned toward human space. They were outnumbered, outgunned, but not outmatched in determination. "All hands," Verity announced shipwide. "Today we chose conscience over comfort, truth over treaty. We're bringing our people home, and we're bringing evidence of what our leaders have hidden. Prepare for jump to hyperspace." The Zephyrian fleet opened fire as the Defiance's engines flared to life. Shields buckling under the barrage, the human vessel made the jump to safety, carrying not just refugees, but the spark that would ignite humanity's second chance at freedom. In her quarters later, as the ship raced toward Earth, Verity received an encrypted message from an unknown source. "The truth sets us free. Prepare for what comes next. The resistance remembers its own." She deleted the message but memorized its contents. The game had changed. Humanity would no longer kneel. The uprising. Earth's orbital defense platforms tracked the Defiance as it approached, weapons locked but not firing. Yet, The massive battle stations had been built during the war, but now served mainly as symbols of humanity's submission, their guns forever pointed outward while Zephyrian observers monitored from within. Captain Verity stood before the emergency session of the Sole Defense Council, the refugee families seated behind her as living evidence. The council chamber buzzed with tension as Admiral Torres glared from the central podium. Captain Amara Verity, you stand accused of violating the submission accord, engaging hostile forces without authorization, and endangering all of humanity with your reckless actions. How do you plead? Verity stepped forward. I plead that humanity deserves the truth. These people, she gestured to the refugees, were abandoned by their own government, left to die or worse because maintaining the lie was more important than protecting our own. Counselor Margaret Wu, Earth's representative to the Zephyrian Oversight Committee, stood abruptly. Captain, you don't understand the delicate balance. I understand perfectly, Verity interrupted. I understand that we traded our souls for a peace that was never real. The Zephyrians have been testing us, manipulating us, and our leaders have been complicit. She activated her datapad, displaying the evidence on the chamber's main screen. Records of other hidden colonies, documentation of Zephyrian experiments on human subjects, proof of government knowledge and cooperation. The chamber erupted in chaos. Some counselors demanded Verity's arrest. Others called for investigation. Through it all, the refugee children clung to their parents, living reminders of the human cost of compromise. Admiral Torres hammered for order. Regardless of these allegations, the fact remains that Captain Verity's actions have nullified our protection under the Accord. Zephyrian battle groups are already mobilizing. Good, said a voice from the back of the chamber. All heads turned as General Jacob Steiner entered, flanked by armed Marines. The old warrior had been forcibly retired after opposing the Accord, but his presence commanded respect. General Steiner, you have no authority here, Torres warned. Authority? Steiner laughed bitterly. Like the authority that let children starve in hidden colonies while we play puppet to alien overlords. That authority ended the moment Captain Verity chose humanity over politics. He turned to address the chamber. The resistance has been preparing for this day. We have ships, weapons, and most importantly, we have the truth. The question is, will Earth's government stand with its people, or will you continue to kneel? The next hours brought revelation after revelation. Resistance cells emerged from hiding across the solar system. Military units declared loyalty to humanity over the Accord. Scientists revealed secret research projects aimed at countering Zephyrian technology. Dr. Lisa Chen, Marcus's sister and lead researcher at the Armstrong base, presented the most shocking discovery. We've located an ancient human archive on Mars, predating our official history. It contains technical specifications for weapons that can match Zephyrian capabilities. Our ancestors fought this empire before and drove them back. We can do it again. Verity found herself at the center of a growing storm. As Earth's population learned the truth through leaked documents and broadcast testimonies, protests erupted worldwide. The carefully maintained fiction of the Submission Accord crumbled. 3 days later, Ambassador Krickstar's ultimatum arrived. Earth has 72 hours to surrender the terrorist Verity and all refugee violators. Failure to comply will result in the implementation of Final Protocol. Everyone knew what Final Protocol meant. The same genocidal weapons that had forced humanity's surrender would be turned against Earth itself. In the command center of the newly revealed resistance base on Luna, Verity met with the military leaders who had cast off their shackles. General Steiner laid out their assets. 40 capital ships hidden in the asteroid belt, ground forces ready to retake the defense platforms, and the promise of alien allies who had their own grievances against the Zephyrian Empire. It's not enough, Admiral Torres admitted. She had joined the resistance after learning the full scope of the government's betrayal. Their main fleet outnumbers us 3-1. Numbers aren't everything, Verity countered. We have something they don't expect. The will to fight for our freedom rather than our survival. The plan they developed was audacious. Using the ancient technology from Mars, humanity would strike first, targeting the Zephyrian command structure while rallying other subjugated species to rebellion. As the deadline approached, Verity stood on the bridge of the Defiance, now flagship of humanity's reborn fleet. Around her, volunteers had replaced crew who chose the safety of surrender. Young and old, military and civilian, united by a single purpose. The Zephyrian Armada emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, over 100 vessels ready to enforce their dominion. Krixtar's message played across all channels. Humanity has chosen extinction over submission. So be it. All ships, Verity commanded, initiate Operation Phoenix. For Earth, for our children, for our future. The battle that followed would be remembered as humanity's finest hour. Hidden weapon platforms, built with recovered ancient technology, tore through Zephyrian shields. Human pilots, flying with desperate courage, broke the enemy formations. Most surprisingly, ships from other subjected species joined the fight, turning against their oppressors. On the defense platforms, loyal security forces overwhelmed Zephyrian observers. Earth's guns, silent for so long, spoke with thunderous authority. The tide turned when Verity led a strike team aboard Krixtar's command ship. In the ambassador's private chambers, they discovered the true nature of the Zephyrian Empire, a hollow shell, sustained by fear and intimidation rather than strength. Their technology, while advanced, had stagnated over millennia of dominance. "You've won nothing," Krixtar hissed as he was taken prisoner. "Other powers will come. Humanity will fall eventually." Verity smiled. "Perhaps, but we'll face them standing, not kneeling." The battle ended with the Zephyrian fleet in retreat, their myth of invincibility shattered. Across human space, the submission accord burned on public pyres. The refugee families from Epsilon 7 watched from safe harbor as humanity reclaimed its dignity. In the aftermath, as new alliances formed and humanity prepared for the larger conflict to come, Verity stood before the reformed Earth Council. No longer captain but admiral of the United Earth Fleet, she delivered the words that would define the new era. "We chose truth over comfort, freedom over safety. We learned that peace without honor is just another form of defeat. Today, humanity stands not as subjects of an empire, but as architects of our own destiny. We may face dark days ahead, but we face them as ourselves, proud and unbroken." The stars beckoned with both promise and peril. But for the first time in a generation, humanity answered the call with heads held high, no longer bound by chains of their own making. The resistance had become the resurgence, and among the stars, word spread of the species that refused to kneel, whose captain chose truth over silence, and changed the galaxy forever. As Verity returned to the Defiance, preparing for the next chapter in humanity's story, she found a message waiting from the rescued children of Epsilon 7. "Thank you for remembering us. We'll remember you." She smiled, knowing that whatever came next, humanity would face it together, unafraid and unashamed. The stars belonged to the brave, and humanity had finally reclaimed its courage. The age of submission was over. The age of defiance had begun.